Hello and welcome to this place on the internet where I talk about all the things I make, mostly knitting, and I am here to share with you the things I have been working on, want to make, etc. So, my name is Irma. Before I forget, my name is Irma and you can find me on YouTube, Ravelry and Instagram as Wolwerkjes. Welcome everybody. I am a bit all over the place. I think this is the third time I started this video and every time there's something not going the way it should be. So let's hope this is the one you will be seeing. Okay, I always start with what I'm wearing. I am wearing my crocheted cardigan. I crocheted some squares and some triangles and I placed them in ways so that I got a cardigan. I made the sleeves a little bit shorter because I normally wear my sleeves up when I'm going about my day. So yeah, very much enjoying this. It's made out of my alpaca wool blend and it's super soft and super cozy. So that's what I'm wearing. I have a few things to show you today, all a bit different, all yarn related, and just let's get started. The first thing is a cardigan I found when I was clearing out my space. So I have a room in the house where I keep most of my craft stuff. Not everything, most of it. And I got my sewing machine here. I got my shop stash, which you can see over here, and it's going way up over here. And my own stash and stuff like that is all over here in this room. And it really needed a good cleaning up. So that's what I did. I ordered all my yarn again. I will maybe show you later in the video how that is looking. And yeah, I also cleared out a basket which is filled with clothing that needs mending, repairing, changing, stuff like that. And the cardigan I found was in there and I forgot I even had it, so I was very pleased that I found it again, but was also wondering there was something wrong with it. What was it? So I found out what was wrong with it. I will show you. This is the first cardigan I ever knitted and I was so proud when it was finished and I was so disappointed when it didn't work out the way I wanted it. And I put it away and never touched it again. And I think it's 6 years old, something like that. I could knit. I was confident enough to knit a cardigan. I even modified a pattern to be suitable for a different yarn weight. All went very well. But at the end something didn't work out and I will show you what it is. I will put it on to show you. So this is the cardigan. I really like the color. It's knitted out of a Norwegian yarn. I don't know the name of the brand. It's been too long. But I held 2 strands together. And it's a variegated yarn, so it's color changing, and you can see that in the stripes, every stripe has 2 tones in it. That's because it doesn't exactly line up, and I really like that playfulness in those stripes. But there's something wrong, and I will show you. You can see it when I put it on. It's very silly and I think very easy to repair, but at that moment I just was so disappointed that I couldn't be bothered with it. So it has a very open neckline. I don't mind that. I normally wear like a shawl or a scarf on top, so that's all fine. The fit is just okay, but there's something wrong with the button band. So this is the one with the buttons on it, which is fine. Maybe the buttons aren't as evenly spaced as I would like, but that's easy to repair. But this is the button band with the buttonholes, and when I line it up at the bottom, look at that, it's way longer than the other one. That's strange, right? So it's just, there's something wrong there. And when you button it up, it even gets worse, because as you can see, it's going in like waves. So you have those bumps, and I really don't like that. So I figured out why I put it aside, but I think it's quite an easy fix, because the problem is in this button band. There can be two things. One of them is that I maybe picked up more stitches on this side than on this side, but I can't. I'm quite exact with numbers, so I don't think that's the problem, but it could be. So I have to count how many stitches I picked up over here and see if that matches the amount of stitches I have over here. But it can also be that I knitted this button band on a larger needle, and that I just have to go down a needle size to fix it. So I don't know, we're gonna see. It's very yeah, it's very ridiculous, but I think easy to fix. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count these stitches. I'm going to count these stitches. If they're even, I'm going to put my needle, cable needle, into the bottom most stitches, so I don't have to pick them up all again, so that I have the right number of stitches. And then I'm going to take out a needle size that will match this gauge, and I really can't remember on which needle size I knit this, so that has to be an educated guess. So I think I can figure out which needle I used after a few stitches. So yeah, so that's what's wrong with it, and that's what I'm going to fix. But I'm very happy that I found it again, because I really like the colors, and it's a shame that this did not get the wear that it should have. So yeah, and I was thinking, can I wear it open without noticing? But even when it's open, it just drops down so much lower than the other side. It's just, it's not okay. Doesn't matter, I will fix it. Yeah, and it's under my attention again, so it will get fixed quite soon, I think. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about. Maybe it's nice to just show you how I organized my stash just in between before we go to the next project. As I said, I cleared out the room, I cleared out all my, I went through all my yarn. I had a basket of yarn that I already put out of sight when we renovated. We built 2 rooms on our top floor of our house last year. So we had to reorganize stuff and things like that, and I put the yarn I really didn't use out of sight, and I kept it for maybe like the kids want to make stuff with it or things like that, but it just stood there doing nothing. So I was like, well, if I don't use it, maybe someone else will use it. There were a lot of acrylic yarns in there, which everybody has his own taste, but I get really sweaty hands when I work with acrylic. I really don't like the feeling. So but if I don't use it, that doesn't mean that another person can be very happy with it. So I destashed it. Some of it went to my mom, actually. I had some leftovers from the Breister, and there were some lovely yarns in there, but with acrylic in it, which doesn't do the right thing for my hands. But she really loved it, so she got those skeins from me. And there were a lot of things that she that were not her colors or wasn't yarn that she would use. And I called up an elderly home, a care home, if maybe there are people that like to knit there and will be happy with my leftovers. So I went there and they were very happy. And now all the yarns I have left are things I would actually like to work with. So I will just show you how I organized it. This is not my stash. This is a shop stash, and it even goes up and up. That's all for the shop. So although it looks nice and maybe I want to grab a skein or two once in a while, it's not supposed to be for me. So I will show you how my yarn is organized now. Let me just turn the camera around like this. So this is the part of my stash I used to crochet, and I sometimes do, so I didn't want to throw out those yarns, but this one, for example, is all filled with cotton yarns to crochet with. The one on top is with my special yarns like glitter or things like that. That's the only acrylic left in the house, I think. Over here I have sock yarn, so I have a basket of variegated sock yarn. I have one of single colors, and I have one for the leftovers. And over here I have some leftover yarns organized by hand dyed or weight or things like that. This one is my leftovers from the knitting contest I joined, but are actually yarns that I might use. And this is some commercial yarns, like I know what kind of project I want to make of it already, or some of my hand dyed skeins that I tried something with and that didn't work out, are perfectly happy to use them, but not very pretty to watch. So those are all in that box. Let me see there. And then I have my pretty corner, as I would like to call it. And that's over here. This is a present for someone, so I hope she doesn't watch. Yeah, so I have some pretty skeins, as I call them, over here. This is Plutelopi I'm working with in a project. There are two hand-dyed skeins down here. One of them I dyed together with my brother, and another one came together in another way, but those are specifically for me and not for sale. I have some leftovers from a cardigan, but enough to make something else. This is yarn I really want to make a design out of. I'm not sure what, but I really like to look at it. And this is also some leftover, and this yarn I showed you last time. And I do have a little bit of yarn over here. I will talk about this one in just a minute, because I have a plan for that. This is hand spun. I made something out of it, but I was short in yardage, so I had to rip it back. But I want it inside because I don't want to forget about it. And this, you can see me because there's a window in front, but this is my hand spun corner. And there is a skein missing that I will show you in just a minute. And that's how I have organized my yarn. Let me see if I can place everything back so we can continue with things I want to talk about. Oh, let me see. You see parts of my office you're not supposed to see. With good reason. There's quite some mess still around. Okay, it's crooked now, right? Oh, is it very bad? It's it's kind of bad. Let me see. Oh, it should be here this way, I think. Oh my god, worst video ever. Let me see, like that. Oh, I know maybe people saw my plant over here, which is really sad at the moment. There were very small black flies in the dirt of the plant, and I had to do something to remove them, and that didn't really make my plant happy. It needs water, but it also is just not very happy with how I treated it. So I hope it will survive, but we will see. So distraction, that's my yarn stash, and I'm quite happy with how it's organized right now. The skein that's missing, there's one skein that's missing, that's this one. This is my hand spun. I spun this past summer, so the summer that just passed. We went to France on holiday, and there was still some space in the car, and I looked at my husband and I was like, I think my spinning wheel will fit in there. And he was like, when it fits, the car is driving, so just take it. So I took my spinning wheel on holiday, which was very nice. We had like a I don't know, veranda, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like the above the water, made of wood, and you can sit there and relax there. And I was spinning there every evening, and it was very, very fun. I will untwist it so you can see even more of it. And I really enjoyed it, and I really want to make something out of this. And yeah, it's very, very nice. The way I spun it is I had all making noise is not talking. So I had all those little mini balls of fiber, and what I did is I split them in two, and one half I spun all the colors just back to back, and the other half I split in three, and I spun those in sequence, so every other color after each other, and then again and then again. So the reason I did it that way is to make the colors play more with each other. So I have yellow next to blue here, but I also have yellow next to green here, and I have orange and blue together, and I have orange and red together. So it's more diverse, it's more playful, because if I just spin one half and the other half and you line them up, you have the same, about the same length of each color, and I think that wouldn't be as fun to spin and as fun to watch too. So I don't know if that makes sense for anybody who doesn't spin, but it was very fun to do, and maybe if you're interested I will try to explain it more clearly for you. But yeah, I really liked doing it. I have quite some yardage out of it, and I really want to make something nice with it, but it also made me want to spin even more. And that's one of the projects that I am planning to do, and I will show you, is doing the same technique only with different colors. I had a lot of color samples, and I really like to play with those colors and mixing them together. I'm not gonna take them out of the plastic because they are in order I want to use them, and I don't want to mess it up. But I'm going to do exactly the same with these colors. So I will start with the pink, and then the green, and then like that in the rows. And I'm gonna do exactly the same with the 2-ply. So I'm gonna make a 2-ply, and one half will be just each color after each other, and the other one will be in shorter bits to to make it more playful. And I think this will be a completely different vibe than this one, because I use different colors, but the technique will be the same, and I think it will be very, very fun. And my spinning wheel is downstairs in the living room, and I really think it should be time that I just start using it again. I had it up here for a bit, but I don't have the right chair over here, and spinning is very easy to combine with watching some telly or just talking to somebody, because it's once you're in the rhythm you don't really have to think about it. So it's nicer in the living room, and I think a spinning wheel is quite fun to have in the living room, because not everybody has those in their house. So it is like very nice to show it off and not put it away somewhere where no one can see it. Something like that. I really like it downstairs. So that's a project that will be coming. That's the spinning project. The other skein I had missing from my stash is this one. And I took this out to show you and to tell you what I want to make with it. And which is also one of my new projects. I had this yarn in stash for quite some time, and I was looking for the right project to work it out of. I'm gonna take a sip of my drink because my throat is not helping me. Let's see if it keeps working for some time now. This is 100% Irish wool. It's Aran weight. It's 200 grams, so it's a big skein. I have 4 of them in total, and I love woolly wools, so this will be very fun, very fun to work with. And the pattern I want to make is one from the Laine, I don't know how it should be pronounced, magazine, and it's issue 4, and it's the Morginn cardigan. And let me see if I can show it, because it's quite a dark picture. I think it's working fine. It's a, is it bad to say grandpa cardigan? It's like a really big little oversized cardigan just to snuggle up in. And it's knitted in fisherman's rib, and the designer is Katrin Schneider, which is a German designer. And I think this will be very fun in this color that I just showed you. I think it will be very wearable and very versatile. The only thing is that the yardage is like, I'm just gonna make it or just not, and I don't know if it's top down or bottom up. Maybe it's set over here. It's top down. Oh, that's very nice, because when it's top down I can just start knitting, finish the sleeves, and just knit everything I have in the length, and I don't have to worry about being short of yarn, because I'm just gonna knit it as long as the yarn will allow me. Fisherman's rib, I sometimes get questions about it, but I have been looking it up. The difference between fisherman's rib and brioche knitting, and the effect is almost the same, and I think the technique isn't that different either. The only thing is that with brioche you create the yarn overs for each stitch, like the extra loop of yarn which creates the brioche effect is done by hand. So you knit a stitch and you do yarn over for the next stitch, you knit a stitch and you do a yarn over for the next stitch, and so on and so on. And on the row back you knit those loops you created with the stitches they are supposed to go with. But with fisherman's rib you go underneath, you put your needle in the stitch below the one you knitted. So you create a loop by knitting into 2 stitches that are above each other. I don't know how I can explain this without without an example, and maybe I will one day make a video out of it. But the effect you get with brioche and fisherman's rib is the same, only the way you get this look is a little bit different, but I think they are interchangeable. It's just the way you create the effect is a little bit different, but the effect itself is exactly the same. I think that's the most easy way to tell it. So I've done brioche quite some times. I have never done it in the way they describe here as the fisherman's rib. So I'm going to see how that's going to, how I'm gonna like that. I think it will be fun to do it another way. And we will see, and once I started it, I maybe can tell a little bit more clearly what the difference is. But I don't think there's really a difference in the fabric you get, only in how you get that fabric. And I think they're quite interchangeable, but we will see. I will try it out. I think it will be a fun project. I think this yarn will be very suitable for this project. And that's one of the things I want to cast on new. Because I casted on the Westknits Mystery Knit Along 6th of October, and I really put everything I wanted to make away, because I knew this was going to take a lot of time. And of course my battery died, because it's one of those days. I was talking about, so I really want to make a lot of stuff. I want to cast on a lot of stuff, but I put it away for the Mystery Knit Along because I knew that was going to take a lot of my time. But now I'm at clue 3. I will show you at the end of the video. I'm at the end of clue 3. And I got the feeling like all clues are out. I haven't looked at clue 4 yet, but the rush of the keeping up with everything is kind of cooled down a bit, so I can do it on my own pace. And it would be really nice to cast something on, because I really, really want to make more stuff. So that's what I'm going to do. I have to repair the cardigan I found, and I have another project on the needles. I don't know if that's the good term, but something I have worked on at the beginning of the summer and put away, and also I found it again when I was clearing out the space. So I own a knitting machine. I do not use it that much, but it's a fine knitting machine. You have like a knitting machine has a lot of needles, and every needle has a stitch. And the further away the needles are, and the bigger the needles are, the larger your stitches will get. But I have them very close together, so you can knit very tight gauges, which is really nice, because big gauges are very easy to do by hand, but very, very tight gauges take a lot of time and are hard on your hands sometimes. Dus it's nice to have the option of the knitting machine, but a knitting machine can only knit you can only knit a stockinette. You can hand manipulate the stitches, so you can make other stitches. So you can hand manipulate a rib, for example, but you can also make cables and stuff like that. So that it's more than just stockinette, but it takes a little bit more time if you want to do something else. But one thing you can do is add a ribber to your machine. So it's essentially another knitting machine put on an angle. So you have needles that knit this way, and you have needles that knit this way, and that way you can make knit and purl stitches without hand manipulating them. So I got one of those at the beginning of the summer, and I of course wanted to try it out, but I don't really want to try things out without a plan. So I was thinking like, well, I will make myself a fine knitted cardigan on the machine. And I finished the back panel because I'm knitting it in pieces. When you have a ribber, you can technically knit in the round, but then you can't knit ribbing. So you have to choose like what you want to do. If you want to do the ribbing on your machine, or you want to knit in the round on your machine. And of course you can knit a rib with your machine and then put those and make it like the length you want, and then transfer the stitches in a way that you can go in the round. If you don't own a knitting machine, you're thinking, what the is she talking about? I will just stop. But yeah, there is more to it than you think sometimes. And I finished the back panel. What I've tried to do is make it appear as a raglan. So it's all knit in pieces, so the sleeve will be attached here, and then it will go straight down, and at the other side as well. Here will be the sleeve, and it will go straight down. It's quite long. I used a grey cotton and sparkling yarn, and I do really like the combination. And I'm very happy that I finished this piece. Machine knitting always sounds easy, and when you see someone working it who's very experienced, it also looks very easy. You have to they know with the carriage you have to move it from one side to the other and back like a cart. You go back and forth, and then it will knit for you. But there's more to it than that. When the yarn is not placed in the right position, or there's a lot that can go wrong, and when it goes wrong, it takes a lot of time to fix. So you really have to pay attention all the time when you're knitting with a knitting machine. So I'm very happy that this came out of my knitting machine, and I'm very happy with how it looks. You can see that the top part is on a knitting needle. That's because in the end, when everything is joined together, I want to make a tubular bind off at the top of the neckline, and I want to do that by hand. So that's why the needles are still on here. And yeah, that's something I am working on and really have to get starting again, because I did make some notes, but I'm not very good at taking notes, and I think that when I wait too long I don't remember what I did. So that's something that needs to be continued and is in my attention again. So maybe will be knitted on quite soon. And I think those are the main projects I want to start at the moment or continue on at the moment. And there is one project I have been working on, and that is the Mystery Knit Along by Stephen West, the Twists and Turns shawl. And I will show it to you. I am at clue 3, so if you don't want to see that, I will say have a nice day, and I will see you next time. For those who do want to see it, I'm gonna show it now. I really like knitting out of baskets at the moment. So I used to have everything in project bags, but I really enjoy looking at my yarn when I'm working on it and seeing how many I have left over, and I really enjoy knitting out of baskets at the moment. So I also transferred some of my project to baskets, just because I can see more clearly what's in there, and it makes me want to knit more, I think. As if not want to knit is my problem, because I always want to knit, but I hope you know what I mean. So I will take another sip because my throat doesn't want to continue. So this is my twists and turns shawl. This is section 1. Those side pieces are section 2 with those cables at the bottom, and I'm working on clue 3, and that's a strip of fabric, not very wide, but it's purl stitches with twisted knit stitches on top of it, which travel along the strip of yarn from left to right and back. I think I have to do one more repeat on this side, and then I have to do the same thing on the other side. I haven't seen clue 4, so I can't give you spoilers, but I do have an idea, because this is on a cable and this is knitted perpendicular to that, kind of perpendicular, and I think this will be filled in with something in the next clue. I'm not sure, I haven't seen it, so it's not a spoiler. If this is true, then it's just my brain thinking that, not because I have seen it. But yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. There's something else in clue 3, and that has to do with the cables. And there's an option to make an I-cord and weave it through your antler cables. So when you have a cable like this that goes both ways, you create holes so you can put your finger through it. And he wants you to weave an I-cord piece through that. And I'm not sure. I think I'm just gonna do it, because just trust him. I always say, when people haven't knit a Stephen West pattern yet, just do as he says. It will work out. Trust him. So that's what I'm going to do. But I hope it doesn't give too much bulk to this section, because I really like how soft it feels. But we will see. I will just do it, and if it really isn't my thing, I can always remove those I-cords again. But yeah, that's where I'm at. And I think it will be very fun to wear. I think this will be the front for me, and you can just put it around. It's already like in a circular shape at the top, so I think it will drape around your neck very, very nice. And I'm very curious how it will be when it is finished. It is a lot of knitting. I did not have the same amount of time as I had the last time I joined, which was for the slipstravaganza, which I almost knit in the same time as the clues came out. So I was done with clue 1 before clue 2 started. Due to my schedule, that wasn't the case this time, but it's also a lot of knitting, but also like you have to turn your work every time, you have to use your cable needle, you have to watch that you don't drop any stitches. It's a little bit more thinking than the last one I did, and I like that. I really don't mind, but it does mean that it takes a little bit longer than the 4 weeks that is the pattern is coming out. But I don't mind. I'm just going to continue easily, and I am still drawn to it. I still want to knit it, so that's a good thing, right? It's getting darker. I will put it a little bit lighter. Although I think I am finished and I don't have to show you anything anymore. But I hope you enjoyed. I hope you don't mind that I did not have a lot of knitting to show you, but did show you some plans I have, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.